Welcome to the 2717 podcast. I'm Javier, an authentic wedding filmmaker.
And I'm Ashley, a passionate wedding photographer.
We're here to bring Proverbs 27:17 to the wedding industry. As iron sharpens iron,
so one person sharpens another. In this fun series, we're all about sharing experiences and building a community.
Expect heartfelt stories, creative inspiration, and some amazing behind-the-scene moments.
Plus, insights from some truly inspiring guests.
Tune in to connect with us, spark your creativity,
and be a part of a supportive community.
You're listening to the 2717 podcast.
We're thrilled to record our podcast in the beautiful studio provided by Love K Collective, where self-love meets stunning photography. If you're looking to celebrate your unique beauty through empowering portraits, boudoir, or maternity shoots, Kayla offers an experience that's as uplifting as it is professional. Visit lovekcollective.com to book your session today and capture the essence of you. A big thank you to Love K Collective for supporting our creative journey.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Javier.
And I'm Ashley, and we are so excited that you are tuning into another episode of the 2717 podcast.
Let's go.
Javi, how has your weeks been? How's everything? Let's catch up.
It's been pretty well. I went to Wisconsin last week and had an amazing time out there for that wedding. And then came back. We had Hurricane Helene hit.
Yes.
Unfortunately, luckily my family wasn't affected. However, I know a lot of Floridians, people in Georgia and Tennessee, North Carolina, they've been affected pretty bad.
Yeah, and we are praying for everybody that has lost everything. Lost anything actually. Yes. Because just this huge time, it's crazy how Mother Nature can totally destruct people's homes and lives. So we are praying for you. If anybody needs anything, please reach out. But I've been doing good. Same thing. We didn't have any damage to our house, which was God bless. What else? I'm trying to think. It's been a slow couple months. Just, trying to work on back end stuff, but I'm getting really hyped for a really exciting end of the year with a lot of weddings coming up and a lot of sessions and stuff. So it's going to be busy.
Yeah. My wedding season pretty much started off this month, all out of state. And then we had a few more weddings and got a wedding or an inquiry for Italy. So that could be exciting.
Let's go.
Let's see if that, grow round 2 again.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we have a really special guest here today. Hi, Kayla.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you guys?
I am so good. We're so excited to have you on and talk a little bit about Love K Collective. And Kayla actually is the owner of the studio that we're in right now. So, yeah.
Our very own first sponsor of the 2717 podcast.
Woo.
I'm excited to be here.
Yay. So tell us a little bit about you. How did you start with photography and, all of that fun stuff?
Yeah. So I've always been into creative. I think growing up and stuff, I would steal my parents' camera and just do those kind of fun portraits.
Oh yeah. The basic. I was always stealing the parents' camera. I love it.
And posing my siblings. And then in high school, I did video productions. I was the TV producer of our little show. And so, after that, we moved back from Alabama, my husband and I just kind of started taking photos of my friends' kids. And then I actually had a friend ask me to film her wedding. And so I used to not do photography for weddings. It was only films, which is a very weird thing looking back at it now, but it's what brought me here today. And so I started being only the exclusive videographer for that venue. It was a very, lower venue in Central Florida. And from there, just kind of kicked off. And then, here I am.
Oh, that is so cool. How did you switch from videography to photography, and how has you seen that change and develop and challenge yourself with the different?
So I always did photos. I did singer portraits, maternity, couples. I think everyone pretty much starts out doing everything in the beginning. And I only did video for that venue. So that's how I started. And then I would say boudoir fell into my lap. Early 2021, I actually used to do it at the venue, in their bridal suite.
Okay.
So that was kind of fun just to go there. And then I think 2 weeks later, after I did my very first stranger full session for boudoir, I got let go from my corporate job. And then from there, it just kind of trickled down into really niching down and finding what I wanted to do in the future.
Right, for sure. And you just rebranded Love K Collective. So tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So I wanted to kind of redefine what boudoir kind of meant. I feel like when you hear that word, you think of one thing. But for me, it wasn't the outcome of the images. It was more so the experience that the women got from the sessions. And so I really wanted to define it to be all types of women, no matter their season, and not really give them like a category of like what you can wear for boudoir. For me, like I said, it's the experience. So I wanted to branch out and kind of redefine what that word means to me. And I'm really excited. It's been really, really going really well. So now I offer like branding portraits, creative portraits, maternity, and then of course still boudoir.
I love that. And your branding for Love K is beautiful. Can I just say? It is gorgeous. And then tell us a little bit more about Love K with, all the different experiences that you help bring to life.
Yeah, so it's basically whatever they desire. So whatever the season that they're in. And I think that you don't really need like one like hard season to come in. I feel like every season of life has its different challenges. So I've seen many women through different seasons. They've come back for different reasons. And so I have women that will come in to do branding and to, really want something to hone in on their business and to feel empowered of the business that they created, wanting to celebrate their body, whether it's they're a new single season of singleness or they're getting married or they just need to, uplift themselves, or people women who are maternity and who are growing life.
I love that. I want to hit you kind of with a hard question next, of how would you define beauty?
I feel like beauty is on the inside is really, I know that's so cliche, but that really is, to me, how you define beauty is how you are inside and how you are with the others surrounding you. I feel like social media has really put like a negative light on like what the like industry standard of like what beauty means. But for me, like I've seen so many women that are just so stunning because of like their energy and just how they portray themselves and how they are with others. I mean, the girls who come in here and they just sit down and hang out with us and, get their makeup done, they're just so beautiful in like their spirit and their energy and how they just talk to one another and how they care for, not just them and their family and their friends, but how they go throughout like the community.
That's awesome. And can you talk a little bit more about like the experience, right? Being the importance and the essence for anyone who's coming in, no matter if it's for a boudoir session or whether it's for maternity or branding for their business, highlight really the experience that you provide and that you give to your clients.
Absolutely. So I really strive to have this space be like a safe space where you come in and you cannot feel like, I don't want you to feel judged. I want you to feel welcomed and warm. So if you have on makeup with your service, you'll come in. My hair and makeup artists are great and they're so friendly and they're so nice. You'll come in here and you'll hang out. So with my personality, I feel like I have a very calm and welcoming personality. Some people want that like in your face, energetic personality, but for me and my branding, I feel like it's very like soft and, they come in, they feel welcomed. And I walk them through every step of the way, whether it's before their session and after a session. And so in their experience in the studio, I just reassure them that like, hey, this looks great, or like, hey, you're doing such an amazing job. I walk them through, I'll even show them some posing. And so I feel like their experience, you don't want it to be like, well, pull up your Pinterest board. Like you want them to feel confident that the one that they hired you, but you want also make sure they feel confident within themselves.
As a photographer and having your studio and offering this experience to your clients, how do you set yourself apart? What's your process going into it that really elevates the experience for, your clients?
I feel like it starts even before their session. So with my inquiries, I'm always reassuring it, please ask me if you have any questions. I don't care if it's like a random question. I even have a business number, which I highly recommend. That way everything is nice and organized. A silly question, just text it to me. So it really starts beforehand. I don't want you to ever feel like you are second guessing your investment with me. So even just booking a session, some of these sessions are kind of vulnerable. Yeah. So just to book it, it's a huge step. And so I'm always like reiterating in my inquiries and my emails, like, hey, please come to me. Here's all this information. I have prep guides. I am like constantly giving them knowledge. And because I'm the expert in this field, like they aren't. Even if the girls who have come to me and they do shoots for a living, like they're models, I still want them to know like what a session with me is like, what they need to expect from me. So I feel like it starts before the session. You don't want them to feel like, hello, is she here?
Yeah,
you know,
who am I talking to?
Who is even this person? And so I feel like it does start before the session. And so I provide value and I provide information even before the session, and then still bringing that knowledge when they come in to the studio, and then it just carries throughout their time here.
It really speaks to the importance of having a phone call, getting to know who the photographer is.
So good.
That way you can tailor that experience even more to them, and not, you know, have them feel uncomfortable in any way at all, but you're going to bring that value and expertise to each and every session that you do. So that's huge. Like, I think sometimes people think of, I'm doing a photo shoot or something, it just always as transactional, and it is, but there is a process of how that transaction goes that each creative has, you know. And for us, knowing that we do weddings is, hey, talking on the phone with your creatives, getting to know who they are, making sure it's a good fit, especially with what you're doing too as well, whether it be branding, boudoir, or maternity. There's vulnerability there that you want to make sure that you're comfortable with that person taking the photos for you.
Yeah, definitely. And especially like you said, like you're like, I'm overflowing with knowledge. Like I've done this for however long. Like I want to share that with you so that you feel the most comfortable, so that I can create the best portraits for you, you know?
Yeah,
I love that.
Exactly. So like, for example, some women think that they need to have like a spray tan before their session, but in all reality, some women, their skin tone doesn't need it, and you really don't need it. Like I don't care what your skin tone is, but if you've never gone a spray tan before, like you need to be educated on what to expect coming into the photo shoot. And just like with makeup, whether it's for a wedding or a session, like makeup relays differently on camera than it does in person. So like they're coming to you, not just to invest into you, but like they're coming with your knowledge. So I think it's really important.
So really speaking to like the importance of having your client schedule a call and talking to you, getting to know what that experience looks like. What's your most asked questions that you always get?
I would say my most asked question throughout like all types of sessions would be like what my Photoshop policy or like that kind of stuff.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So what my answer is to that, the whole point of coming into like my space and my reasoning why I have branding is, my reason behind my branding is to feel empowered and to know who you are is okay. So I will remove or do some Photoshop for items on your body or like spots and stuff like that wouldn't be there in like 3 weeks. I do say I'm not going to alter your body. Like that's just not who I am. Some photographers will do that. Now I will say some of the posing that is done in here, like in the outfits that they wear, can be a little bit different, or like when they're bending a certain way. Like if you don't normally look like that and I can like move it in like a little thing, like then I don't mind that, because you know, like your body would look like that normally anyway, but I'm not going
it's
to
just
alter
maybe because of an outfit or
exactly
something. Right.
Like sometimes with strapless, if you've been a certain way, it would look different, but I'm not going to alter your body that gives you a non-realistic look, like outlook on what your body actually looks like. That's honestly the most asked question that I'll do.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And like as a woman, like we're just constantly like raised to, you know, compare, and you know, we all feel insecurities.
Yeah.
How would you say that you help women through posing, like reflect their inner beauty on the outside?
I will say directing is like my top feedback that I get, that I do very well. So in the studio or even out on location, I will demonstrate posing. So I feel like some people are like, just move me, like move me, alter my hands. And so I will demonstrate the posing, but I will walk you through each posing. But I'm also reassuring you that like what you're doing is great. And I have like core poses depending on like what the session is. But then some people are just naturally move, and I love to encourage those movement. I think continuously encouraging them makes them feel like what they're doing is great. One thing that I do at every session is I kind of ask, you know, what are you insecure about? I don't want to say the word insecure, but what do you normally stir away from when it comes to the camera? Do you have a preferred side? And then they'll go ahead and tell me. and I will thank them because normally some people won't own up to their insecurities. And so I'll say thank you for, letting me know. I'm not going to stir away from that side, or I'm not going to like work around those insecurities, but I will be mindful of them.
Right.
Like some women, like ears are like, they don't like the
Yeah, I
side.
feel that. I'm like, are my ears showing right now? If you're on YouTube, please tell me. No, I'm just kidding.
But I'm not going to be like, oh, your ears are showing. Let's stop what we're doing. And like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
honestly,
especially when you're, sorry, don't mean to cut you off, but especially when you're in a like good groove of
Yeah.
things, and then you're like, hold on, you're showing,
Your
which is an
insecurities are showing.
Yeah, your insecurities happening, and we need to stop because we need to fix it and stuff like that. Yeah, I totally love that.
yeah. And the reason I used to like not even bring it up, but then I started doing it, and when they would select their images, because in Boudoir you select your final images,
Sure.
they would select images that it's shown off their insecurities, or it was the other side. And so I just felt like I'm just going to keep doing that because
Oh, that's so interesting. I
yeah,
love that.
I love that. So it was just interesting to see like what they selected or like what they would post. And it was just kind of like, oh, okay. So I don't have to stick to like the Pinterest board or like one side.
For those who are aspiring to have a studio, what did that process kind of look like from a business mindset? Like, how did you prepare one to purchase a studio, rent a studio, and what that process kind of looked like?
Yeah, I would love to know.
Okay, so before I begin, I just want to say that I am extremely privileged, and I know that I am blessed for the fact when I got my studio, I did not have to really think about the profit coming like on my personal side or paying me. And so when I was let go from corporate and I asked my husband to give me 3 months of being full time, I was really privileged again to be able to invest almost 100% right back into my business. That does not work for everybody. But for me, there was a demand for studio, and I could have continued using the venue for the bridal suite and not really offered much like inside portrait stuff. I used to do backdrops like actually in my kitchen.
Yeah, I love it.
So there was demand for more than just like backdrop stuff. So of course I could have rented a space. I could have continued in my kitchen. But with Boudoir, I really wanted to stand out, and there was a demand for having a creative outlet for just me, my brand, and my clients. I didn't want someone to view my image and be like, oh, that's White Wall Studio. Or, you know what I mean? Like I wanted to stand out and be like, oh, that's Kayla's space. And so it was really important. And I just didn't want to, be like, oh, that's the venue or that's a studio. So I would say there was demand for a studio. Was there a whole lot of demand? No. But I would say my business, like it was a very fast-paced thing. I got let go in February and I got a studio in June. And I just kind of like flew from there. But when I did get my space, when I was able to be like, hey, I have a private, my own exclusive, I got to vamp it up however felt my branding. I feel like each studio I've ever had, I've moved like 4 different times, but each studio has felt like my brand. I felt like it all was consistent with each other. And so as far as getting a studio, I know I get that question all the time of being like, oh, I want my own studio. Like, do you want one just because you think it's cool? Or like, do you see a future for it? Like, do you do newborns? Like if you're just doing portraits, I know that you do like some studio stuff. So it makes sense just to rent it out, whether you're splitting it with your client or they're paying for it full price, like that's totally different. But like, are you making that commission from your clients and just your lease,
Yeah.
Right.
You know what? Even speaking, you touch on the element of branding and how that was important, and you want to make sure that image was consistent all the way through. Kind of speak to more of now, like how did you kind of discover your own messaging, your own branding, the way that you want your clients to feel, and honestly, when they choose Love Cake Collective.
Yeah, so branding was really important to me, and I'm not one with the words. And so it was really important for me to invest into someone that knew what they were doing. I know where my soft spot is. I know where I am the strongest in, and branding and copywriting just wasn't for me. So even in the very, very beginning, I think I would invest just as much as I did into my camera gear, because I felt like that was, for me, really important, because you could have like the greatest gear, but like if you're not resonating with like your ideal clientele, or your clients come onto your page and they're like, what is going on? There's so much grammar, or like this doesn't make any sense. Your website is not clickable. Like, it's just a mess. Like, there's no point. Like, you can't even use your gear that you just spent so much on. So yes, investing right back into my brand. And I hired Carson. Shout out to Carson. We love her. She's actually local to Tampa. She was great. I loved working with her because she sat me down, she asked me questions, and I just kind of rambled, honestly. And she would put like my reasoning why from even before Love K, when I was just doing boudoir and then also weddings. And so I think it's really important to have a strong branding message. Like, yes, a bomb website or like a pretty one is like, awesome. But I feel like your branding message needs to be stronger than the appearance of your website. So I definitely would say investing right back into your website and branding is really, really important, because you also want to stand out. You don't want to be like, oh, everyone has this template website,
Would you say that the branding itself, the copywriting, is really in correlation with your vision of what you see for Love K Collective in itself? So like, what would you say are some of the key identifiers for Love K Collective that helps you stand out from, potential competition? Or how do you even view competition in that sense with what you're offering?
So how my branding and my messages on my website is how I talk to my clients in person. So I told Carson, I don't want to sound corporate, robotic. I don't talk like that. I don't even like communicate in my emails like that. Like, obviously my contracts are like, very proper. Sure. But the way that I talk to my clients, the way that I am, I wanted it to be identical. I want you to almost like hear my voice when you're reading my branding on my website. I wanted to be unique. Like I said earlier with my studio, I want you to be able to look at my studio and be like, oh, that's Kayla's brand. That's her identity. That's her setup. And so the same thing I wanted for my website. I wanted my website to be the wow factor, to continuously drawing them in. Yeah. Yes, imagery is fantastic, but when you are like viewing a website and there's so much like going on, you're like, I don't even have time to look through this. It's like you want to keep engaging them and pulling them through.
Yes, exactly. And especially as humans, we get so sidetracked with things all the time, especially through phones, and finding creatives through social media and looking at the mobile sites is so hard. Please go look at like desktop. We spend so much more time on desktop websites, I swear, please. But like, it's just, whenever I go to my mobile website, I'm always like, oh, I'm like, please, nobody look at this. Just because it is so kind of hard to, make your branding and, something that's meant to be on a computer, meant to be on a desktop, look as good small, and like the buttons don't always, it gets like just all over the place and stuff. So I totally get that. So yeah, I think that keeping that consistency and really just like making sure that, your website is exactly how you want it to be and all of the functions work is what's really going to keep like your clients, entertained enough to like continue with the contract form, continue with the making it as easy as possible for your clients is what's going to keep them going in the cycle, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And then they think when you're on the website and you inquire, still give them that knowledge and still keep them engaging throughout your investment guide, throughout your calls. If you do consultations, keep them engaged throughout the whole process and not have them questioning of one, who you are and what your business is, but also be like, why did I even reach out to this person?
Speaking about the client experience and really your branding, your messaging, all the effort that you put into it and established it, it's really highlighting your client experience from when they find you, when they visit your website, schedule a consultation, have the actual experience of shooting with you, and then lastly, delivering their product to them. What have you learned throughout that whole process that really resonated with you from either when you started or from where you're at now that really stood out and like, this was a valuable lesson that I learned that has shaped who I am today with Love K Collective?
Is my reasoning of why I have all like the workflow that I have is from when I did sessions for myself. I felt like there was a disconnect, or there's almost like, hey, you're booked, see you at the session. Like I felt like there was something missing, and me being a photographer, like I know what it's like, to as far as like makeup or, and stuff like that. But I feel like I'm hiring you. I'm investing into you, and not just my money, but also my time. And you're just like leaving me not unread, but like I feel like there should be some check-ins. There should be something. So I would say my past experience, but then also just the years that I've done this, I always feel the need to improve. And I'm always like telling other creatives that I 100% believe no matter your profit margin or your cost of doing business, your clients are investing their money into you. You need to be investing back into them. And sometimes you may not have the money to do a whole workshop or buy these random guides, but there's free educational resources. There's podcasts, there's YouTube, there's TikToks, there's Instagram accounts. Like you need to be constantly learning and growing. And so that happened for me. Like I've invested so much money and time right back into my clients to ensure that like I can give the best that I can give. And I always ask for feedbacks. Some photographers and other creatives will ask for Google reviews, but I have a more detailed form because some people don't want to be vulnerable on Google's. So I asked for a whole form and how I can do better. What was your expectation going into it? Now, what was your experience like leaving the studio? Even before I was in my 400 square foot little studio, I always asked for feedback and how I could continue to grow and be better.
That's huge. That speaks to the passion, one overall, that you have with what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And then as a business owner is always getting the feedback to, hey, where can I improve? Where can I get mm-hmm. better? That's so huge. I know for us and doing weddings is, what's my couple's reaction when they see the photos or they see the videos? Like, are they going to love it as much as I did or not? But also it speaks to, again, like having your processes, having the educational aspect and always wanting to continue to learn, improve, and grow. Mm-hmm. I know for myself, when I'm doing wedding films, I'm always trying to see like, hey, where can I improve this next season? Like I was talking to Ashley saying like, hey, being busy isn't always productive for your business. Definitely. It's not going to help you. And so, but having that time to reflect back and be able to see where are my vulnerabilities and where can I improve? Where's my vision for this season of as a creative and how can I get better? Exactly. But I love it because you're speaking to a testament of the work and the passion that you have for what you're doing. And sometimes, and you're calling out to the people that want that too as well, mm-hmm. that resonate with that messaging. It's huge.
And I feel like that's when you can be your most productive self too in your slower seasons, kind of like checking back in on, your guides. And, if you have something that happened at a session and you want to add it to a guide, like I feel like I do that all the time during summer. I added these are your photo shoot essentials. We're bringing oil blotting sheets and we're bringing water and we're bringing a hairbrush. So it's like you take what you've learned from not only just outside resources, but also what you've learned through sessions and adding that to your knowledge that you can give to your future clients and, upgrading your, emails, upgrading your client experience on the back end. And that's just going to make the process through your busy season just so much lighter on your end of things, which is so nice.
And I love when you mention that your clients are investing to you.
Right.
Like that right there should be of importance and significance. When any couple invests into me for their wedding day, I'm like, wow, they're trusting in Javier to produce and to create. And so not taking that lightly, I should be able to be proactive enough to be able to say like, look, this isn't just another paycheck. Somebody's investing in me, allow me to do what I do for a living. So I should be able to put the effort in them, have the mindset to improve and grow. Hey, let me go ahead and see where I can spend some of my money into education and get better, improve. Mm-hmm. Where can I invest into some certain gear that can really transform wedding days or even for their wedding and stuff like that. So it's like always looking back and reflecting and find those gaps where you can actually improve, and having always at the forefront that couples are investing into you or your clients are investing into you in that, hey, the economy isn't great nowadays. So whatever money they invest into you, like that's huge right there. They're planting the seed to allowing you continue to do what you do. And so I love that you mentioned that because that's a huge point.
Yeah. And that's where the passion comes in too. Like you can see who is passionate about their business through their client experience, in my opinion. Like if they've put the time into, like you've said, you created prep guides, you want to be there for them. You have a work number. Like that is so cool. Like you're like, please text me on my work number. I'm so big girl. But like, all of that stuff is just so important, and it just really shows to, you know, your passion for your business. And, you know, you can tell if your creative that you hire for your wedding or if that you hire for your branding session or maternity is passionate by, you know, if they leave you hanging high and dry, or if they, you know, have those guides that, you know, they want to make the best product for you.
Absolutely.
So I want to go in a little more lighthearted direction. Have you had any, I would say, learning experiences, any horror stories that you've gone through that really helped you in you know, for future sessions?
Crazy sessions.
Like client experience, like a client like coming in?
Anything. Whether it's from you or what you've heard or, you know, other people have experienced.
Honestly, I haven't really had any like, oh my gosh, I need to put this back in my contract. I feel like sometimes you go to a session or like a situation happens and you're like, am I legally covered for this? Or like, you know, you're
like, hold on, I gotta add it now.
Yeah. Do I need to put this back on my prep guide? I don't honestly, I haven't really had anything. I will say from like this type of industry, as far as like portraits and especially with boudoir, I've had clients who come in on edge because they have PTSD from past sessions.
Ooh.
Yeah. That's really been like the only like tricky thing. I truly have like the best clients, and I've always said like I've always like over prepared my clients coming in. So I mean, one time I had one girl like completely space and not bring anything. And at that time I didn't have a client closet to fall back on. So that was kind of like, ew. But I would just say again, having other clients come in and they didn't have a contract with a past photographer. That's super scary, especially with boudoir. Those are very sensitive images. And so you really need to make sure that you feel trusted and that you have a contract. And even as a client, if you feel like there's something missing in that, you know, creative's contract, say something. Like if you feel like the model release, especially with boudoir, like you need to have something in there. I don't really have anything. I can make up something.
You're like, I could tell a story.
But yeah, I don't have anything. I definitely would say like I've had a couple like hiccups here and there, but again, it's nothing like major to ruin their experience. I've always learned from it. I've always grown from it. I've either put it back in my contract, I've put it in my, you know, prep guide. But yeah, I've never really had anything like personally crazy happen to me.
Yeah. And you mentioned that you have a client closet. Tell us about your client closet. How'd you build that? Why'd you build that?
Okay, so my client closet is more of a bonus. I have like random items in there that are like cool, unique. I have a couple like maternity dresses that are a little bit more on like the pricier end. And so of course maternity, like you're not going to wear it again. So I have it as a bonus. So especially with like boudoir clients, in the prep guide, it says utilize my client closet as a bonus or a backup. Do not like rely on my client closet. Every body type is different. Like
that's
you may
really
not like anything.
Yeah, that's
honestly.
really interesting. Yeah.
I do have sizes extra small all the way to 5XL. So it's just like random stuff that as I'm shopping that I've seen, or like if more clients are coming in with the same type of outfits, or like different, like I have like the black bodysuit for like maternity, or like the black strapless, you know, off the shoulder dress, a black blazer for like business stuff. And so I just think it's nice to have like, again, giving that extra like,
going that extra mile.
Exactly. That extra,
for sure.
For your clients, that extra luxury experience.
Yeah, because outfit, I will say, I will speak from experience, having outfit like crises during photo shoots is always the worst, because again, like you invest in this photo shoot, you're excited, you're nervous, and then you're overlooking like your outfit for it was our anniversary. It turns out to be like our proposal photos. It was the same thing. I was having like the worst hair day that day. That's not an outfit thing, but I was having the worst hair day that day. And I like didn't love my outfit. I didn't try it on beforehand. And we were in Utah, and I was like, oh, and you're just so discouraged, and you're going into that shoot discouraged too, because you're like, I don't feel like I look my best into something that you're so excited for. So then like, you know, that when I look, I was like, I love them. I really do. But when I look back at them, I'm always like, I was so upset about my outfit.
Yeah, I get that. And I have like hair products here and like just random little things, just to give that extra value to my clients and being like, hey, you know, the humidity out here is disgusting. So it's like I have hairspray.
Yeah, you're walking from your parked car into my studio and your hair is
atrocious.
frizzed.
Yeah,
it's gone.
You're soaking wet in sweat. Yeah, so just giving that extra value to my clients. It's just a little bonus that I have here at the studio.
I love that.
I will say this: I have had things that have gone on in the studio, and it's more of a learning experience for myself. But again, how to prep my clients. But I will never speak on a client's situation, even if it was like astronomical, insane, crazy. Like I would never bash a client or speak of them in a negative light. Even if I put Susie Q and that's not her real name, she knows who it is. I'm sure her bestie knows who it is. I just feel like that looks poorly on you to just speak about your client, even if it's a past client from 2 years ago of like an unhinged client story. I feel like that's so like poor looking on yourself as a business. I understand that things do happen, but then turn it into a positive and how to educate your incoming clients on a situation.
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
If you got screwed over, is your contract even solid? You know, like reflect onto yourself of how you could have prevented that. Some situations do happen, but bless and release. Don't let it hang on to you in the back of your head. I just feel like, so I've had situations happen, but I would never bash a client publicly.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that especially doing it in a negative way too, like you can, you know, talk about clients in a way that's like a learning experience, like you said, even with like past clients, but some people post them on, you know, online and all of that stuff. And it's just like, let's just switch our perspective and, you know, maybe like step into the client too, like kind of like step into their perspective of things. And like you said, like, does your contract even cover that? Like, how was your client experience with them? Like for them to maybe feel that way or, you know, anything like that. So just kind of switching up your perspective to like then educate and like further grow your business is so important. Javi, what else do you think?
I mean, I agree. It's a client relationship. So in any relationships, there's always going to be something that could happen that doesn't work out. And just being able to see each other's in different perspective that way, hey, you know how to prepare for the next time, for the next meeting. And so I agree. I mean, there's a way to pretty much educate your clients for moving forward if something does arise or does happen.
Yeah.
And that can always be done in private.
Yeah. I think it's a slippery slope too, where like if they go online first and start bashing and you just need to like defend yourself more so, like if, you know, I've heard
came that big.
I
totally get that.
Yeah. I was like, if it, I've heard stories about even like Google reviews, you know what I mean? Like that can affect, like you can review your vendors, but also like that does affect their like ratings, their bookings and all that stuff. So just being like totally cautious before you do that. But then also, you know, I've heard people that just like make up stuff and put 1-star reviews and then they make up stuff or they totally blow the situation out of proportion and then like you want to defend yourself. Like I totally get that too. But yeah, I feel like definitely coming at it more so like when you're telling stories about it more from an educational perspective is so important.
Yeah. If I've seen a creative do it, I'll unfollow them and I would never recommend them.
Yeah. Especially just in like a nasty negative way. Like it's just, why you do that? Why that's no fun. That's not nice.
No, it's not.
So in closing, I want to do rapid fire questions.
I'm nervous.
I want to get to know Kayla. I want to get to know a little bit more about Love K Collective, all right? Okay. So what camera gear do you use?
I use a Canon R6. Yeah.
What's your favorite lens?
50, 1.2.
Why?
Ooh. The bokeh. I feel like you get wide, but then you can also go up close. Especially being in the studio, I can still back up, and like the depth of field is pretty nice.
So in the studio, do you use more natural light or artificial light?
It's all natural light, and then I have a couple artificial lights to create shapes and stuff.
Ooh. What's your favorite portion of the studio to use? The brick sidewall, the new cyc wall you just added, or the slated backdrop?
I like the slate black wall.
Ooh. I love that. Mm-hmm. Which sessions are your favorite?
Boudoir.
Interesting.
Favorite color?
Blue.
Do you have any pets?
Yes, I have a goose. If you follow me on social media, you will see my golden retriever.
King.
Yeah, one like on the podcast, I will get another one.
Let's go. You heard it here first.
I love that. Really quick, just to wrap everything up, I kind of want to hit you with maybe a little bit of a deep question. Why do you think that it's so important to document every stage of womanhood?
Absolutely. Every stage of womanhood comes with different challenges. So you could be at the start of building your career and your business, and then, you just want something to show your face, but then you grow and you excel into your business and you feel so powerful and you want to celebrate and keep going. So each season of that would be branding, but then each time you came in would be a different challenge. You are different, I would say, mentally, where you are in life. And the same thing with motherhood, whether it's your first child or your last. I think it's very important to document the magicalness of growing a human being that's so insanely wild. Women are incredible just to be able to grow humans. Sorry, men. And then with boudoir, I think it's just so nice to celebrate your body and to know that, like, I am okay. I feel like boudoir is kind of looked at it more of like a sultry type look, but I have women that come in and they're not just in those typical boudoir outfits. It's more of just celebrating their body, and that's why I redefined Love K, because I wanted it to not be the usual industry vibes that you hear about with that word. And so I think it's just very important to document who you are in that season, because you are a different person, whether it's yesterday and then next month you are growing and you are changing. And I just think it's so fun and powerful to feel like you are completely okay. You deserve to feel so loved and powerful within yourself. I know when I was struggling in between of just doing boudoir and weddings, I ended up booking a boudoir shoot myself. I actually ended up flying out to do one.
Wow.
And so I lost a lot of weight, and I still wasn't obsessed with the photos, but I was so proud of myself for even just doing this shoot. There were other reasons why I even booked the shoot. I felt like a chapter of my life, not just me personally. I had so much accomplishment within my business and personally, but I also was missing chapters of the season within my husband because I was afraid of the camera. And so I just booked a shoot to celebrate the journey that I've been on this far. And like I said, I, of course, am you as a woman, you can always find improvement on, your physical aspect. But I was just so insanely proud of myself for celebrating who I was and in those photos and stuff. So that's pretty much why I have created Love K. I think it's so important to celebrate those seasons because you're changing. And I think it's important to feel accomplished, empowered every day, and no matter what you're going through.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Kayla, thank you so much for being on our first guest episode of the 2717 podcast. You're our first guest.
Such an honor.
Oh, gosh, no, an honor from our end. Come on. And thank you for letting us use your studio too for our home studio of where we film. We really appreciate that as well.
Of course.
So where can they find you?
At Love K Collective.
Beautiful. Javi, where can they find you?
At sundial.creatives.
And you can find me at Ashley Jade Photography LLC on Instagram and TikTok. And you can find us at the 2717 podcast on Instagram and TikTok. 27, the number 17 spelled out. Give us a 5-star review. If you like this episode, follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We're also on YouTube. Javi does amazing video work. So if you're listening and you want to watch one time like a movie, that'd be pretty cool too. We love y'all, and we will see you next time.
Peace.
Bye.